are truly approaching the end of times. The end of Animal Collective August anyways.
Hello fellas, Jezzy here, and I'm throwing a bit of a curveball with this second to last Animal Collective review. I could simply go to Tangerine Reef and be done with it all, but I really need to talk about this specific album. Sleep Cycle is a solo album from not Panda Bear, not AV Tear, not Geologist, but Deakin, the least frequent Animal Collective member. Oh! The guy who, up until this album, seemed to be the butt of every Animal Collective joke.
What does he even contribute? Well, clearly they didn't need him for Merryweather Post Pavilion.
Oh, you fools, if only you knew. There's a bit of history behind this album, and allow me to go over that before I actually start talking about it. This is Deakin's debut solo album, and it was meant to be released in 2010. In December of 2009, Deakin, or Joshua Dibb, decided to do a fundraiser so that he could fund a trip to Africa, where he would play at a festival in Mali and use this experience for inspiration behind a solo album. And it was successful. He raised $25,000, he went to Mali, he played the festival, but year after year, no album was in sight. I won't get into it all, there was a lot that held this album back, from artistic troubles to the recording and touring of Centipede Hurts, personal stuff that got in the way of his musical life in general. 6.5 years went by pretty quickly, but eventually it was released. Now, I wasn't a backer back in 2009, I was in 7th grade, but I'd say with this album, it was worth the wait. It's almost unbelievable how good this album is. Not many people expected this project to be that worthwhile, and somehow it's the best thing that Animal Collective have put out all decade. I sincerely mean that. This is the best Animal Collective related project of the entire decade so far. I don't think anyone would have expected that back in 2009. Sleep Cycle is easily better than Centipede Hurts and Painting With. AV Tear's hit and miss stuff. Panda Bear's okay, but it's not person pitch level stuff. This is the best thing to come out of the group at large since that run from Fields to Merryweather. So now that you know that I love it, let me explain why I love it. This album is only 6 tracks, and 2 of those 6 tracks are more interludes than anything else. So it's mainly made up of 4 longer than average songs. There's a group of people out there that consider this more of an EP because of that. Like they don't feel like there's enough content on the album for it to warrant the title of an album. See, now I have 2 problems with that. For one, Deakin considers it an album, and he's the one who made it. And look at us now, there's all kinds of artists putting out way shorter projects and calling those albums too. And my second problem with that is that even though this album is on the shorter end, it is so much more cohesive than a lot of albums that even stretch to an hour. It doesn't just feel like 4 tracks and 2 interludes, it feels like more than that. The amount of quality that each of these 4 main tracks exhibit is such an experience. The entire album feels like a really good dream. A somewhat short dream, but still. Sound-wise, this album is centered around folk. Very psychedelic folk. Sleep Cycle is honestly more folk-oriented than any of Animal Collective's more folksy albums. All of the 4 main songs are really lyrical, and Deakin really proves himself as a fantastic lyricist. Like, a part of the reason all the main songs are over 6 minutes is because Deakin's got a lot of great things to say. And it's not just the lyrics that make him so good, he's also got a very great voice. You get such a genuinely touching and caring vibe out of his vocals. It's like he's speaking to you as a close personal friend. And his voice lends so well to how he conveys his lyrics. Like, not to hate or anything, but this album would have been weaker if it was given one of Animal Collective's normal vocalists. But that's just because Deakin's got the perfect voice for the kind of music he's making. Instrumentally, this album is equally as impressive. And the best way I can describe it is like he took the best aspects of all of Animal Collective's best albums and he put them all on this album. The best of their acoustic guitar stuff, the best of their psychedelic and electronic stuff, the best of their more jammy freak-out kind of stuff. It's all killer and no filler. Well, unless you want to consider the 2 shorter tracks filler, but those are more of extended outros for 2 of the longer songs. Combine that sentimental acoustic guitar from Sung Tongs, very natural field recordings such as on Campfire songs, tribal freakouts a la Here Comes the Indian, electronic textures such as in Strawberry Jam, and an overall atmosphere that is just as psychedelic as it is moody such as Feels. Let me restate, all of Animal Collective's best features are on this album, and it honestly makes me feel like Deakin's been the secret mastermind this entire time. He's been pulling the strings!
Red Velvet is not as popular as it should be. It's kind of like a mixture of chocolate and vanilla, you know, but it's red, you know, because of food dye, and so people don't know it's chocolate and vanilla mixed, I guess, but
And through all of these elements, this project really gives off a distinct vibe of a late summer night campfire. And a summer night campfire may sound like a very specific thing, but if you listen to this, you'll understand what I mean. And a lot of this can be attributed to the various field recordings and just the general mood that it all gives off. I mean, seriously, this album's way more deserving of the title Campfire Songs than Campfire Songs. This is infinitely the better Campfire Songs album. The album's opening track, Golden Chords, starts everything off very calm, very peaceful. It slowly fades in with those nighttime bug sounds, and other than a few soft studio effects in the background, the bulk of the song is just Deakin on his guitar. It's the most minimal on the album, which makes it almost a weird choice as the opener, but I'd say it works pretty well as the opener. It takes you in softly and it lets you know that it's all going to be alright. And everything from the guitar's sound to Deakin's voice to all the different lyrical concepts he's bringing up, it's all so relaxing and soothing. Golden Chords is exactly the kind of music that puts my mind at ease. And for how minimal it is, it never feels like it overstays its welcome, which is pretty good considering it's 6.5 minutes. So then the song nicely transitions into Just Am, and there's a lot of great stuff going on with this song. This is the song that really pulled me in at first and made me realize there's a lot going on here with this Deakin solo album. From the swirling electronics to the dreamlike pianos, it's a very beautifully arranged, sonically layered song. The word I thought fit perfectly for this sound back in 2016 was magical, and I still think that holds true. There's just a very fantasy-like magical feeling that this song gives off. Oh, well there, I just connected it to another Animal Collective album. Just Am gives off the very same childlike wonder and magic that Spirit They're Gone, Spirit They Vanish gives off. This album really is the best of everything. The way Deakin sings on the song and the type of verses he does just flow so well into each other. There's specific verses where Deakin just soars. It's the alternation between all these different modes that keeps the song interesting at this 9-minute length. Yeah, I haven't mentioned this song's 9 minutes. A bit of that is due to a long outro it has, so the main bulk of the song is really like 7 minutes, but still the way the vocals alternate, the way new sounds come in, it really does remain interesting for its long run. And so as the song reaches its outro, a lot of different field recordings start to come in. Most, if not all of these recordings are derived from the Mali Festival, which before I proceed with the second half of the album, I may as well talk about. A part of the reason why Deakin playing at this festival and the creation of this album were connected financially was because they influenced each other. Deakin really had the desire to put out solo material at the time, and he thought that this festival in Mali would be the perfect way to get inspiration for that. And I'm no detective, but I'm pretty dang sure that he was inspired by it. I feel like that's half the reason why this album evokes such campfire-like feelings of togetherness, this sentimental communal feeling of playing music with others, just having fun and feeling great on a summer night. But regardless of how all that actually played out, the album's still really effective at conveying all these different moods and feelings. Most of my favorite music is stuff that really conveys atmosphere and imagery. Anyways, then Shadow Mind comes in, which is essentially Just Am's spiritual 9th minute. Oh yeah, I said Just Am was 9 minutes earlier, but that's really because I think of these two tracks as one and the same. Just Am and Shadow Mind together make 9 minutes, and I always think of them as the same thing because they just continue off of each other. Shadow Mind just sounds like a different part of Just Am's outro, like the part of the outro with Deakin doing some weird vocal chant. I don't know this for certain, but I'm pretty dang sure it's from the show in Mali. That's the most logical guess. So then you get Footy, the most energetic track on the album. This is where those tribal freakout elements come in. The percussion can get all over the place sometimes. However, unlike Animal Collective's more freaky tribal stuff, Deakin really brings a lot of structure and melody to it. It's like a song such as, say, Slippy, only made much more accessible and longer. Deakin's vocals are a bit weaker on this song, but he's so into the music. There's an out-of-breath feeling to it, which honestly just makes it sound much more energetic. And just like with Just Am, there's a lot of great alternations that go on throughout the bulk of the song. Sometimes the percussion will switch up and a piano will come back in, and then you get Deakin singing in all sorts of different ways. And then with what I guess is the main chorus section, you get this big kind of drum roll before everything just stops, and that repeats several times until it goes back into this great instrumental section. Footy's really the only song that sounds like this on the album. The entire album honestly just feels like Deakin's showing all these different sides of him and what he can do. So then after another somewhat long outro section you get Seed Song, which kind of acts like this big divide between Footy and the last song, Good House. And this 3-minute interlude-like track is something that I've really come to appreciate on repeated listens. The track has this weird water-like effect going on all the time with Deakin's vocals in the background, kind of echoing off into the distance. And in the last third of this track, the instrumental from Good House starts to slowly creep in. And that's what I appreciate. Because Good House is by far my favorite song on the album, and whenever I get to Seed Song, I just get this sense of, here it comes. Deakin's prepping me up for it, here it comes. So the closer, Good House. Best song on the album, best Animal Collective related song of the decade. Honestly, just the best closer outside of Alvin Rowe, and maybe Brother Sport. No, nah, not even Brother Sport. There's such an emotional quality to Good House. It just destroys me every time. It's a slow song, it's very introspective and moody. Both the sound of the song and the lyrics give it a very therapeutic feeling. I've really connected this song to a lot of personal events in my life, so you could say I've kind of got a bias, but that's just how good this song is. It makes me think of friends I've lost, forgotten eras of my past. This is where Deakin's vocal performance is really highlighted. His voice goes so well with the sound of the song and the lyrics that he's singing. I couldn't ask for it any other way with this song. It's just perfect in my eyes. Honestly, my only complaint is that it doesn't go longer. And it's 7 minutes. This album overall just turned out way better than it had any right to be. It genuinely just feels like an experience. It does so much with what is essentially just 4 songs. And maybe something speaks to that, because Deakin could have put a few more songs on this album that would have hindered its overall quality. He could have elevated it to a more standard 45-minute length, with maybe 3 other songs that just weren't as good. But it's very clear that Deakin's got a concept for quality and he really wants to put out the best thing that he can put out. I mean, really, the fact that this took 6.5 years to make also speaks to that. Sleep Cycle is an absolutely lovely album, and I really hope that Deakin continues to make more solo stuff. Or, even better, I really hope that future Animal Collective albums have a lot of influence from this project. I would love to hear a full-on Animal Collective album led by Deakin. That being said, who knows, we're pretty much all caught up to the present now. Well, actually, last week, as it turns out, Animal Collective released a new album, and everyone's suspicions as to where they'd go after Painting With are pretty much correct. Tune in next time for Tangerine Reef.
I have a Discord, it's pretty funny.